Welcome to practice. We're going to begin kneeling, so have enough equipment like a blanket or a block underneath your sit bones so your knees are comfortable when you kneel. And if kneeling is not an option for your knees, then sit comfortably with your legs, feet out in front of you. Making sure your sit bones are high enough so your knees are comfortable. We'll try and get the feet parallel and tucked in neatly under the hips. Feel the length of your spine. Virasana translates from the Sanskrit as hero. Yeah. So feel that sense of pride in your body, your spine. Finding your breath. Good. And then we're going to start to swim the arm back. Take your left arm and reach it up and even look up and follow with your gaze as you reach down behind you. And then your right arm. Good. And we'll keep going from side to side. And then both arms. Looking forward. Feel the space that that arm movement makes in the ribs and the chest and around the heart. Nice work. We're going to take the knees out wide and the arms forward. Forward Virasana. Mm. Mm. And then coming up into all fours. Stretch your fingers out wide and make spinal wave movements forward and back. Give yourself enough room between your hands and your knees. And move your hips, bend your elbows, and start to move your spine. Whatever rhythm feels good. But bring your focus to the rhythm of your breath. The wave-like movement of the body. The wave-like movement of the breath. Good. And then we're going to lay down onto our tummies. So bring the chest along the floor. Have the hands still under the shoulders. Good. And just lift the breastbone a little. Elbows in and elbows back. And lift the legs a little off the floor. But as you lift your legs, try to squeeze the buttock muscle We're going to feel the back core of the body doing this strength work of lifting. Nice. Lower down, just rest your forehead for a moment. Now you can keep your hands under your shoulders if that's enough work for your back. Or to make it stronger, hands back beside you, palms up. And we're going to lift again. Lift the palms, reach the fingertips back and looking forward. And then lowering down and turn your face to one cheek and let go. Let the back body broaden. Good. And then we're going to do one more, either of those versions. Or if you like, try holding your ankles and lifting the knees and the chest off the floor. Legs parallel. Good. And then laying down. Turn your face to the opposite side. Hands underneath the shoulders and lifting up. Bring the elbows in. So your arms don't have to be straight. And in fact, listen to the spine. So we want that curve to feel really strong. Press the tops of the feet down, lift the kneecap. And breathing deeply. Good. Pressing back up into your all fours position and take your spinal wave movement again. So just find the right distance of your knees from your hands. Bends can sometimes create that residual tension in the spine. So feel the gentle movement of your spinal wave, releasing and relaxing. Good. We're going to tuck the toes under, walk the hands back for that nice big stretch of the toes, the feet. And you can keep your hands on the floor, that's enough, or up onto your legs, lifting the spine. See if you can find that hero pose again. If your little toes don't touch the floor, you can reach down and see if you can get them onto the floor a little. Nice work. Now we're going to roll back over the feet into a squat position. Try and press your heels down. Good. Lift the pelvic floor, the lower front abdomen, and see if you can balance there. Hands to the heart. Good. Lift right up onto the balls of the feet again. Put your hands on the floor if you're losing your balance. Good. And heels back down to the floor. Right up onto the balls of the feet. Lift the pelvic floor. Good. Heels back down to the floor. One more. Up onto the balls of the feet. Feet. And heels back down to the floor. Sounds like a little chick. Good. And then we're going to roll up. Arms up. Urdhva. So we're at the back of the mat. Let's walk the hands forward into downward facing dog pose. So arms down onto the mat and little hand prints forward. Keep your heels down. So only go so far forward as you can keep your heels on the floor. Find that spot, and then we're going to rock gently the hips from side to side.
Try to keep the heels down. Let your head just hang down, chest wide, shoulders wide, enjoying the feeling of your breath. Mhm. Good. And then we'll walk the hands back to the feet. Good. And then roll up. So here we are, still at the back of the mat. Arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. Lift the wrist. Lift the heart. Beautiful. Tadasana. Okay. We're going to walk the hands forward again. Inhale, arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. Uttanasana. See how you go, keeping your heels on the floor. Only take the hands as far forward as you can, but heels stay on the floor. As close to the floor as you can. Swing a little bit from side to side, your hips. Good. See if you can walk the hands a little bit further forward without lifting the heels. Nice. All right. We're going to swing the hips over to the right. Pick up your left leg and take it behind the right. So we're crossing the legs, and the left foot's going to land on the floor on the right side of your mat. Good. And really let the hips swing over to the right so you're stretching through the left armpit, left chest. Just let your head be nice and relaxed. Good. And then we'll do the second side. So come back to center, press the heels down, swing the hips left. The right leg goes behind the left leg, crossing the legs, and the right foot lands on the floor on the outside of the left of your mat. And we let the hips hang over to the left side. Really lengthen through the right armpit, right ribs, right waist. Very nice. And back to center. Let's do that again on both sides. Press the hips down. Left leg behind the right leg. And if you feel like you've got your balance, your shoulders fine to take the weight, lift your left arm up. And we'll lift all the way up and open the heart towards the ceiling. Enjoying that connection to the breath and the body. Back to center. And the right leg is going to go over to the left. So the right foot somewhere on the outside left of your mat. Let the hips hang to the left. And if you have your balance on your left hand, take the right arm up. Open the heart, open the chest. Back into your short downward facing dog pose so that your heels are pressing down. Nice work. Now we're going to take the knees gently to the floor. Take the hands off the floor, step the right foot forward and come into a long lunge position. Just keep your left knee on the floor for a moment. Bend the front knee as much as your knee is comfortable with. We'll try and keep the legs parallel to each other. Starting to stretch your left hip. Good. Now we're going to tuck the toes under of the back foot and lift the left knee off the floor. So tuck the toes under of the left foot, sorry. Lift the left knee off the floor. And we're in quite a deep forward lunge. Good. Now we're going to lift the torso. So straighten your front leg to where your knee needs to be. If you can keep your right knee bent and directly over your right ankle, that would be great. For Virabhadrasana 1, looking up. Beautiful. Hands back to the front of the mat.
And step your right foot back into your downward facing dog pose. So if you walk the feet a little closer to the hands, then you might be able to get your heels closer to the floor. Gently take the knees to the floor, hands off the floor, and step the left foot forward. Now we want to explore how much can we bring the hips forward in this lunging position with the right knee on the floor. I'm hoping your forward's not too hard onto your knee. You can always put a blanket. So we want to try and bring the hips as far forward as we can. Trying to keep the legs parallel. Lifting the heart. Enjoying the connection to your breath. Good. And then we're going to tuck the toes of the right foot under and lift the back knee off the floor. So we're straightening through the back leg now. And then we begin to straighten the front leg to lift up. Press into the feet powerfully. Lift up into Virabhadrasana 1. If you can line your left knee up over your left ankle, beautiful. Draw the shoulder blade. Small fingers reach up, thumbs reach back. Heart forward, shining upward and outward. Good. And then hands back to the front of the mat. And step the left foot back into your downward facing dog pose. Head the heels down to the floor, side to side. Good. And then release your knees to the floor and take child's pose. And rest your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Good. And then inhale and coming up. We're going to find our all fours position again. A few little spinal waves forward and back. An opportunity to dissipate tension through supple and subtle movement. All right, we're going to lift the hands up off the floor, step the right foot forward. But this time we're going to take the foot out to the edge of the mat, the right hand edge of the mat. Hands onto the floor inside that right foot. Bring the hips forward again. So we bring the front of the hips forward towards the floor. Lift the heart. And if you can walk your hands further forward, then do that. You might even be able to bring the elbows down onto the floor. But try to keep lifting the heart. The right hip's going to feel like it wants to spring back, but we keep bringing the hips as level as we can. Good. And then walking the hands back. And we're going to lift all the way up the torso, the hands, so that we can swap legs. So right knee kneels up and left leg comes forward to the outside of the mat. Bring the hands down onto the floor, under the shoulders, inside the foot, left foot. And start to bring your hips as close to the floor as they'll move. And we're trying to get the front of the hips level to the floor. Lift the heart, look forward. Alrighty, see if you can walk your hands forward a little bit more. maybe even be onto your elbows. Just notice, of course, the left hip's going to feel like it wants to spring back. See if you can bring the left hip a little closer to the floor. Lifting hard. Enjoying the connection to the breath. Nice work. Walking the hands back and lifting your torso, your hands, so that you can step your knees back and take a rest again. Dog pose. Aware of the flow of your breath. Ease in the back of the neck. Great. And releasing. We're going to come back up into our downward facing dog pose. So tuck your toes under. Straighten your legs and walk your hands forward. Pressing your heels. See if you can let the spine feel a little longer. The higher you lift the sit bones, then the more of that waterfall effect you get for the spine. Let your head feel nice and heavy. Press the fingerprints, base of the index fingers. Good. We're going to walk the hands, so bring the hips forward a little bit. Walk the hands a little bit further forward. So we're in a really long downward facing dog pose. And see how you go bending your elbows and bringing the forearms towards the floor and lifting back up. We're going to do that a couple more times. Nice and strong in the hands. Keep the shoulder blades back. Look forward. Elbows towards the floor. Nice work. And then knees to the floor. Bring the forearms to the floor. And take a stretch here. You might want to walk your knees back a little bit to give yourself more room for the stretch. We'll take the chest towards the floor. Maybe your forehead rests onto the floor. Good. And then releasing. And we're going to roll over onto our back, our collective back. All right. Parallel legs, parallel feet. Let's take the hands onto the floor next to the head. So your fingertips face the top of your shoulders. And we try to keep the arms parallel. And I want you to get a sense that you could lift your hips and lift your shoulders up off the floor. Maybe you rest on the back of the head and then roll back down. Now, maybe you don't get a sense of lift in your shoulders because it's a pretty extreme movement on the wrists. So let's just focus on that wrist movement. Try moving your fingers out a little bit, your fingers more towards your sides of the neck, and just try a few different little hand positions as you try and put a little bit of pressure down through the hand. So we're just going to go up and down. Getting the feeling of this. Maybe the heels of the hands aren't quite reaching the floor. So just give them a stretch for that moment in the breath. Good. You can also try moving your feet in a little bit closer. That probably give you more lift. You might be able to lift your shoulders and you can roll on the back of the head towards the top of the head. Maybe you can even lift up, although I'm not going to do that today. All right. Well done. Lay down and bring the backs of your hands in front so you can counteract that hard work on the wrist with a nice stretch. Beautiful work. All right. We're going to roll up to sitting. Either roll to your right side or cross your feet at your ankles. Good. Now, we're going to take both of the feet over to the right side. It tends to make the body lean over to the left. So if you take your blanket, and you can even double it over, make it extra high, put it under your left sit bone. So your feet are on the right and your blanket is under your left. Or Baradabadasana. Nice. All right. I'm going to do a little arm movement here too. Take the arms out to the side. You're going to rotate your left shoulder forward. Reach the left arm behind you and turn your torso at the same time to the left. The left arm reaches behind you until you feel your fingertips somewhere in the vicinity of your right kidney, right waist, right hip, so far as you can to the right. So if I turn around, just in case you can't quite understand that instruction. Good. And now you might be able to take hold of your right upper arm. Otherwise, you're just reaching as far as you can. If you can hold your right upper arm, then you can use your right hand, creep across to the left side and hold on to your left thigh. Ooh. Beginning of the practice, we started in hero pose, feeling the length of the spine, a proud feeling of the body. Another way of thinking about that is the love and honor we can feel for our bodies. Here, turning the torso, allowing the neck to just follow, to stretch but to be relaxed. Working with love and compassion. Good, and then releasing that sigh. Oh, and then we're going to take the legs across to the other side. Oh, I didn't talk about the feet position. Classically, it would be your right foot in the sole of your left. But not everyone can do that comfortably for the knees. So put your feet where it's comfortable enough. Have enough support under your right sit bone. The feet are left, support goes under the right sit bone. We're going to do our arm position. So take the arms out nice and wide. Rotate your right shoulder forward. And then reach behind you with your right shoulder as far as you can, your right arm, your right hand, until you feel your fingers, your right fingers, in the vicinity of your left side. So you might be able to take hold of your upper arm, your left upper arm, and then scoot your left fingers across the front of your body. Try and take hold of the right side. So whilst all of that might be a little unachievable this morning, you can hold your shirt, leggings, and find in your posture, in your approach to posture and its difficulty, the sense of love for your body, honoring those sensations of difficulty and ease, and turning the ribs, letting the neck follow. And then releasing back to center. Let's take a seat on the blanket with the feet facing forward. Little bit of boat pose. Hold the front of your knee and lean back with straight arms. Good. And find for your back the best feeling where it feels longest and strongest, and use the front core of your body to hold that position. Good. And then balance your feet off the floor. Arms out straight. Good. Now, if you lean back, of course, you're going to have to use the core more powerfully. So decide if that's for you. Your knees can move away as a counterweight. You might be able to lift your feet up, even straighten your legs. Releasing. Hold the front of your knees and lengthen your spine. Nice work. And laying down again. Little release here for the hips and the belly and the back. Happy baby pose. Hands on the inside of your knees. Hold your ankles or your toes. And we're trying to bring the knees as close to the floor as you can. And the toes heading towards the wall behind you or the floor behind you. You feel that nice deep stretch in the hamstrings. See how your lower back is supported. Feel the relaxed belly. You can try to straighten your left leg. Try to straighten your right leg. You can bend the left one again. Good. And go from side to side, exploring that stretch. Nice work. Bring the soles of the feet together. Baddha Konasana. Hold on to your ankles so your legs are up. Good. Now we're going to stretch to the front of the hips. So your feet are still in the air. Cross your feet at your ankles and bring your heels underneath your sit bones. Now, the higher the heels are towards the sit bones, the more effective the feeling when we put our knees down. So we're going to let the knees down to the floor. Now, if you can't feel that stretch, you can do two things. You could either put a blanket underneath your hip so that the angle is bigger stretch, or you can try it in half lotus posture. So my right foot is the one that's underneath. So I'm going to pull the right foot out and put that on top of the left into half lotus. So you don't have to do that hard if you don't have that lotus movement in your hips. I have to hold my foot because it wants to slide. But otherwise you can just let your hands relax, the body relax. And in fact, you could bring your arms into an overhead position, increasing the stretch. Even right up into the hands, the palms and fingers. Stretch your palms and fingers. Good. And then releasing that side. If you're doing a half lotus, you have to remember which foot was on top. I'm going to put my right foot back underneath, pick my feet up off the floor, and then swap the cross. All right, the hands hold the toes just to try and get the heels closer to the sit bones when you put your legs back down. Good, and letting the knees down to the floor. So you might have your hips up on a blanket if you want that stronger stretch. Or if you're going to take the half lotus position as well, you take my left foot is the one that's underneath. So I take that out and place the heel into the front of the right hip. We'll bring the arms back overhead, palms up. Good, and then releasing that side. Bring the inside edges of the feet together, knees together, arms out wide. Good. And we're going to take the feet off the floor. So you're using the core awareness here. Start to just rock your knees towards your chest and away. You can feel your lower back press into the floor. You can feel the core muscles working. Good. All right, we're going to bring the knees into the chest, lift the hips, swing them right, and the knees are going to go left. Okay, and then we're using the core awareness to lift up, swing the hips left, and knees go right. Great. Now you can keep going and decide whether you might be able to straighten your legs a little bit. So you don't have to straighten your legs. You can keep the knees bent and do what I'm doing, a halfway version. But really focus on your core awareness so that as the spine moves, there's plenty of support. And back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. Rocking a little bit from side to side. We're going to take the legs all the way out, the arms overhead, and just give yourself a really nice long stretch. Feeling the hero quality of your body. Your calm connection to your breath. Good. And If you like to lay out for your own Shavasana, just release your arms down, let your legs roll out. You, like me, you need to finish your practice. Hug your knees, sorry, your feet in, bend your knees, rolling to your side. And coming up to sitting. And take the feeling of the practice